Let's play some hockey. Tonight.
Energetic, passionate, and savvy. Gouche Live. Brought to you by the good people at the Hockey News and Sports Illustrated. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the Gouche.
Welcome to the episode of Gouche Live. Those Maple Leafs go up against the Carolina Hurricanes and my buddy Brent Burns. But before we get into that, of course, we'll be talking a little bit with Jordan, the producer, about what went on last night. And certainly hats off to the Toronto Maple Leafs with a big win, 2-1 over the Boston Bruins. Of course, Austin Matthews scoring both. So we'll get into that in a few seconds. But before I do that, I'm wearing a jersey. I've worn it a couple times. This is in honor of my father. My father fought in the Korean War. Jim Thompson from the Aurora Tiger got us to do some special jerseys, lest we forget. So important that through this month of December, up until November, I apologize, up until Remembrance Day, let's not forget. You know what, though? Let's not forget all year long, obviously, of all of our fallen soldiers, the people that allow us to live the way we do today. And certainly my father is so proud of him. I know he's watching down from heaven, being proud of what we're doing and keeping the life going. So, hey, Pops, all to you. Love you, kid. Hey, Brendan Cooper, I want to say this, Brandon. You are a hero that runs among us. Unbelievable today. He's paying back. He had suffered concussion issues, very similar to my good friend Jordan. They knew each other. They played again. It's just a crazy story, serendipitously or whatever that word is. And so that's really cool. And to have Coops finish the Hamilton Marathon today. 2 hours, 58 minutes, and 54 seconds. And I'm going to ask Jordan, how long would it take him to finish a marathon? I think I could do that in a car. I'm going to go on record. But what's really more important about that, he raised well over $2,600, and it hasn't stopped because we're going to keep it open because he's done such a great job until our party, November the 12th, at the Bottom Line, where we will be giving him the Heroes Super Award for doing this for Stop Concussions, and we're going to keep it open. And you know what? He qualified for the Boston Marathon. Here we go. Another guy that I know can do the marathon, Jordan LaRoche.
I don't know about a marathon. I mean, I can make it down to the store and back, but that's about it.
Is that with a car or without?
No, I mean, being downtown is great. It's super convenient. So it's literally a 2-minute walk.
Yeah. Hey, so listen, Brandon is a young man that obviously got concussed playing hockey. He loved the game. And he went to see Scott, very similar to you. And Scott kind of advised him, listen, we're going to get you better, but we're just a little bit concerned of obviously your concussion history. So I would highly recommend you leaving hockey and taking up another sport. And he went to running. Of all, I don't know. I can't run from here to the mailbox, which is only about 150 meters. Even when I played, I wasn't a runner. Like this fat body just, in those days I was, slim and trim, Greek God's body. Now it's a Greek salad. But certainly, were you a runner?
God, no. I mean, at no point in my life. I mean, I did it during off-season training. I mean, that was more just because I knew I had to, but never because I wanted to.
Goal normally don't run, right? Like that's not a big part of a regime for goaltenders. Maybe for forwards, I could see it. I don't see it as a.
It still is because I mean, if you look at goalies, they're the only player on the team who's on the ice for the full game. So I mean,
right.
you need that cardiovascular, and obviously some of the differences in training comes with explosiveness, which muscles you train, but. No, I mean, full marks to Brandon. That's really a remarkable story.
Absolutely. And what we sat together a couple of weeks ago, and you guys ended up having played against each other, which is just even more remarkable.
Yeah, and I mean, we played for the Tensford Trojans while I was with the Lambeth Lancers, and then Mount Bridges as well. But no, I mean, it really kind of reminds you just how small a community the hockey world is. I mean,
yep.
This is a guy who I probably played against 4 or 5 times through my career. Never knew him on the ice. If I saw him in person, had no idea who he was. But
yep.
Regardless, here we are.
Well, you know what? Big shout out to him. Thank you, Brandon. And we look forward to seeing him Saturday night. We're going to give him the special award from Stop Concussions. We formed it just this year. Actually, we formed it just this month. No, we actually formed it today when I found out, listen, the kid's gone out and done something. You've been a remarkable too. So please don't take it in any wrong vein. But this kid just went out.
Yeah.
No, but you're.
No. But like, nothing I do compares to that.
Oh, yeah. You keep me straight.
Harder than
all right. You know what I'm saying? I'm really proud of what you do. And of course, I do want to do a shout out to him because of the fact that I looked at all the fundraising amounts for the Boston or for the Hamilton Marathon. There were about 40 different charities that people were raising money for. And he's in the top 5 at 26, which is unbelievable when you think about it. And we only started a few months ago. So what we decided was, I talked to him yesterday before the race. He wanted to raise $5,000. And I said to him, you know what? Incredible. $1,000, $500, the fact that he did it. So we're looking forward to it. We'll bring that up as we go through the week. We're going to go right up until he gets his presentation Saturday night with you and I. Okay.
Perfect.
All right, here we go. Toronto coming off a huge win versus the Boston Bruins, but it came with a cost. The cost is you lost and I won.
Not really what I was referring to in the notes, but well, sure.
Oh, okay. I did pick the Toronto Maple Leafs, did I not?
You did. And I picked the Bruins.
Okay, so it was, well, let's talk about, before we talk about the game, I think you're absolutely right. The loss, and how serious is it? Obviously, Ilya Samsonov.
Yeah, and Keefe said today that he is going on injured reserve, and it looks like he's going to be out longer than what the injured reserve requires him out for. So they haven't said whether that's long-term injured reserve or just injured reserve and kind of keep him around after that period. But regardless, it's a pretty rough situation in Toronto. We were worried about the goaltending coming to this year, but I didn't think it was going to end up with both guys being injured in the first week.
Well, Jordan, you can't blame management for that, specifically in the sense that this is bad luck, Matt Murray. We know that, we did see a picture at the beginning, with him had two bandages as goal pads because he does have history. Samsonov, of course, we didn't think that, if one goes down, you've always got the second. But now they're really in a flux, like they're really grasping at straws, and what are they going to do?
I mean, so now the next guy up, Eric Shalgren, he's going to be the guy for the time being. And then they actually signed one of their AHL goalies, Keith Petruzzelli. And he's going to be the backup just until they're both back. But no, if you saw the play that kind of hurt Samsonov as well, it was the penalty shot that Marchand took. Gouche, that was the same injury I had a couple of weeks ago. So I can kind of say not necessarily the same injury exact, but I did the exact same motion and probably pulled on the same things. And my knee still isn't 100%. So
and they've got incredible training staff. It was me actually taking care of your knee. I threw an ice pack on it. So I think if there's an opportunity for him to get back quick, obviously they're going to have a tremendous medical staff work. They'll be 24/7. I know when I played in Germany, and I did, and you knew that in college too. If they take very good care of you because they realize how important Samsonov is, and you also you don't want to bring him back too soon, especially goaltenders. With a leg injury. So hopefully that corrects itself. And certainly Petruzzelli is 6-0 with the Marlies right now. So he's got some talent.
Yeah, and I think the Leafs just need someone to kind of stabilize things. I mean, Shalgren, when he's gone in at times this year, he's 0-2-1 already this year, or 0-1-2. I can't remember exactly, but he's looked kind of shaky. I think what we saw from him last night against Boston is promising because when he did come in, he managed to keep that at a 2-1 game, which is all you really ask him to do. So for Shalgren, it's just taking it game by game. He's getting the start tonight and just kind of try to even things out here.
All right. So obviously the Leafs coming off a big victory, I think a moral victory also, 2-1 at home. This Boston Bruins, as we talked extensively yesterday, was on fire. I know this will cause a little bit of controversy. Do you think the Miller story has anything to do with how distracted the Boston Bruins were? And I'm not taking anything away from the Toronto Maple Leafs winning last night. Please don't take it at that. but do you think it had anything? Because they just didn't look firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, it really did take them a little bit to get going, and I think when it got to the third period, that they were a much different team. But at the same time, I think it has to at a certain point. I mean, it's something that the whole team has spoken about. Many guys have come out to the press and said we don't like this, and the team still goes ahead and does it.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's a great situation for anyone, but I can imagine it's weighing on the players.
All right, so we're moving on from that. The Boston Bruins lose to the Toronto Maple Leafs, a very well-deserved win by the Toronto Maple Leafs. Austin Matthews, kudos to you. We did say you need to be the best player, and he certainly was last night. Chris Patterson, big win for the Leafs, no question. And Matthew Meisner, thank you for joining us. Looking good, boys. Let's go Buffalo. Are you talking about the Bills? I think it was tied 17-17 when I left.
To the Jets. Good Lord.
Yeah, what's going on there, Matthew? Really liking that, aren't you? I don't know if he's a Bills fan. He never. Yeah, I know he's.
I would assume so. And especially with the way the Bills are playing this year. I mean, I'm a Bills fan now.
Well, yeah, I know you're one of those band jumping. You just don't hurt your ankle getting off or your knee. All right, let's talk about tonight. Obviously, the Carolina Hurricanes, another very, very good team, and of course, Matthews. Sorry, they beat your Buffalo Sabres last night 5-3. How does Toronto come from back-to-back? You know what? It's a little bit different when you lose than when you win. So they're on a bit of a high. But then again, taken from the win, you lose your goaltender, your second goaltender, I guess if you want to call him that, who is probably playing at a pace to be the starter even when Matt Murray comes back and having to give him time. How do they go into this game? Are they going in on a positive and a high, or are they going in a little bit trepidationally thinking, holy, you know what? We can't have another goaltender go down or we're in big trouble.
Yeah, I still think you go into this with a positive mindset. You're just coming off beating the hottest club in the league and looking pretty good doing so as well. So obviously Samsonov, that's going to bring down a lot of people, but no, this team again, building off that win against Philly, you come out and beat Boston again. You go up against another pretty strong team in the East in Carolina. I think Toronto is coming in as really excited. They got to be firing all cylinders tonight because Carolina is not going to. They're going to punish them for their mistakes.
Hey, listen, Chris Patterson, boys are going to light up Freddie like a Christmas tree. I'm not sure. I still love Freddie Anderson. I think it's one of those guys where it's a good story. You feel good for the guy. You never controversial. You just like him.
Yeah, and plus, Carolina's just does such a good job of mitigating scoring chances against him. I mean, they just keep everything away from the front of the net. Everything stays to the outside. And for Toronto, the big thing for tonight is trying to get people to the front of the net and get pucks to the front of the net.
Well, and Freddie Anderson's coming off pretty good. It's 2.66 goals against. His save percentage is a little low at 8.94, but certainly is leading that team with a 5-2 record. Let's talk a little bit about the Carolina Hurricanes. Who has surprised you? Or I wouldn't even say this surprise because this team is very good defensively, very strong offensively. They play a very tight game. Obviously, Rod Brind'Amour is, of one of the class acts in the National Hockey League. Is there anything that surprises you right now about this Carolina Hurricane team?
I mean, they're kind of just going status quo with how they kind of were last year. Just a really deep core. That they get contributions all throughout the lineup. But Andrei Svechnikov over the last few games or so has just been lighting it up. A couple game winners, and then Aho too, just consistently just putting up good points. So, with my worry with the Leafs for this game against Carolina tonight is going to be the depth. If the bottom six, who's been playing pretty well the last few games, can come out again tonight and just out battle the Hurricanes' really strong bottom six.
Hey, talk to me a little bit about I hope I say this name right. Martin Nikas?
Yeah. Is it? I'm not entirely sure. It's Nechas or Nichas.
Nichas. Yeah, I think he's Czech, so it'd probably be Nichas. Yeah. He's been on a tear.
Yeah, he's last 5 games, 4 goals, 5 assists, and 9 points, almost a 2-point per game pace. And he's getting a lot of chances on the power play. He's on the point with Brent Burns on that first unit. So he's going to get a lot of kickback chances and just a booming shot, an absolute cannon. So let's set him up for that one-timer as well. So He's definitely going to be a guy to watch out for Toronto tonight if they do get into penalty trouble.
Well, this Carolina Hurricanes, of course, in the last 4 games have victories 5-3 over Buffalo last night, 4-3 overtime win versus the Tampa Bay Lightning. Then they beat up on the Washington Capitals. Well, not beat up. It was an overtime win, also 3-2. And then winning 4-3 against the Philadelphia Flyers, also in overtime. When you look back at these, people say, they just won in overtime. Those that extra points that they get, I'll tell you what, means a lot when you get closer down into, the March and April area.
100%. I mean, it may seem earlier on in the year like these games might not matter a ton, but 100% you want to get those points now. Any lost points is just a net negative.
So we've got obviously the Carolina Hurricanes playing very good hockey. I think the Toronto Maple Leafs coming off a big win from Boston last night. This could be a very entertaining game. Generally, when you have back-to-backs, both teams are on it. They get a little sluggish, but I think both teams know that they need to take the points as they go forward in it. What do you think of the Toronto Maple Leafs game plan tonight? Lay back, wait, be patient, and strike when they get the opportunities, maybe on a power play, kill off the penalties? Or do you think they say, listen, let's come full guns a-blazing. Both of us are tired. Let's see who can make that kill in the first period.
I mean, I think at least they need to be aggressive off the very get-go. Granted, both teams played last night. I think Toronto may have had a tougher game because Boston really kind of ran through them with almost 50 hits last night.
Yep.
So I off the bat, you need to be physical, get your rush chances, and just try and be a pest early on. And you can kind of capitalize on this team, another team coming off a back-to-back in Carolina. So, just get bodies to the front of the net, make life difficult for the defense. Just the status quo, really, what the Leafs been doing against Boston and Philadelphia. So
Carolina is up on goals for. The one really shining stat here is the Toronto Maple Leafs are 26, almost 27% on the power play. It's working very well. Whereas the Carolina Hurricanes, we talked a little bit about that yesterday, at 17%. Brendan Moore has to pick that up. That's certainly not a stat. You're going to win those close games, those games that you need to take advantage of the extra man.
Yeah, and obviously not having Max Pacioretty in the lineup yet this year is going to affect that. But at the same time, you have to have that next guy ready to go, and it just hasn't worked out for Carolina yet. The guys aren't working together. It's not meshing yet. I think this is probably a night where they can kind of move things around. I haven't seen too many changes on the power play yet, but no, I would expect to see something tonight.
All right, listen, just as we get ready to go into our predictions, the one thing that Rod Brind'Amour has been saying the last couple of days, obviously they're 4-0 in their last 4. Our top guys have to be playing really well, and our top guys have been our best players. I know that Keith needs that also to continue on with this winning ways. Matthews, you know what? A couple of goals last night. The best players have to be their best players tonight. Do you see anything different?
Not necessarily. I mean, they moved Bunting up to that first line after kind of experimenting him on the third line, which it was only a 1-game trial period, so I wasn't a huge fan of that. But obviously, having Matthews score 2 goals last night and a goal against Philly as well, it seems he's back producing. It's just kind of got to find a way to get Mitch Marner back in the goal column a little bit.
Yeah, of course.
He's the only guy he's been getting assists, but you need goals from him. So I expect that to maybe try and get him some more touches, get him some more open space.
Well, Johnny T's leading the way with 14 points. Johnny T's got 7 goals leading the team, and Marner is leading with assists 11. All right, let's get into the predictions there, buddy. We'll leave the Toronto Maple Leafs to last. How did we do last night?
It was a pretty close night. I did make up some ground because I was 3 games behind. But I'm only 1 behind now. You're 56-39. I'm 55-40.
No, that's a pretty good stat. So I'm comfortable with that. I'll let you catch up a little bit until a couple of weeks from now. I'm just going to analyze it a little bit more, and that's where we're going to be. Obviously, I'm going to put some distance.
We'll see.
Distance. All right, let's do it. Your New York Rangers up against the Detroit Red Wings. I like Detroit. I'm going to let you go first.
The Rangers have had the Red Wings number for a few years now, so I'm going to go with the Rangers here.
They're at home. I think they're a team that needs a victory to calm the waters over there. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to go with you. I think the New York Rangers are going to be too strong. I picked Kreider to score tonight on my Tim Hortons. Go, Kreider, go.
He's having a good year. I mean, he had a bit of a slow start to the year. He didn't have a 5-on-5 goal until like last week, I think. But no, he's back producing at a regular rate, and him and Mika Zibanejad still look really good together.
Well, I think we're going to end up being the same here on this one. So I'm going to lead it off. Obviously, the Florida Panthers are going up against the Anaheim Ducks. And I'll tell you what, I said it from the start of the season. I just don't think this Anaheim team has done enough to make anybody think that they're going to be a playoff team. Obviously, Knight starts in goal for the Panthers. Gibson in the net for the Anaheim Ducks. Gibson's been horrendous when you think about his numbers. 2 and 6 in the win-loss column. 4.58 goals against. 0.883 save percentages. I got to go with the Florida Panthers solely on that because Mr. Knight is 3-1.
Yeah, and I mean, this is a good opportunity for Spencer Knight just to kind of more kind of earn that spot over Sergei Bobrovsky, which is going to happen over the next year or so. So I'm excited to see that. And then, just John Gibson, a guy who's been top 10 goaltender over the past 6, 7, 8 years, has just kind of really been struggling. So I'm probably going to go with Florida too.
And I'll tell you what, Matthew Tkachuk is not disappointing, 17 points with 12 assists.
He may be suspended, actually. He is having a hearing today.
Oh.
He high-sticked Jonathan Quick in their game. I can't remember if it was last night or the night before.
I think it was the night before.
Yeah, so he's having a hearing today, I believe.
All right, so right now we're back-to-back the same. Toronto, Carolina. This could be the deciding moment.
Yeah. And I when it comes to back-to-backs, I do think the more physical team and the bigger team just has a mental edge and a physical edge. And Carolina, they've had a bit of an up and down start, and they do have some issues, but I do think they come out really strong tonight and just jump on this Toronto team who may be a little tired.
Well, Chris Patterson says it's a 3-2 win for the Toronto Maple Leafs. JT, Marner, Matthews with the win. Chris, I'll tell you what, I do want to go against the odds. I do want to go against my buddy, the producer, but I can't. I'm in the same thought that you are. I just think this the Boston Bruins beat up a little bit on the Toronto Maple Leafs, though the Toronto Maple Leafs did not stay away from any of the heavy hitting. But I just think they're going to be a tired lot, and I just don't think they have enough gas in the tank to get through it. So I'm going to pick, and I think Brent Burns is going to score the winner tonight.
All right. What's the score? What's your score?
I think it's going to be a 4-2 win, empty netter.
All right, I'll go. I think it'll be a little high scoring with a backup in Shalgren. So I'll go 4-3.
All right, so let's see. That's how we'll determine who wins.
Right.
Just on our own thing. All right, buddy. Thank you so much. I know we've got a big week coming up. Obviously, I'll be with you tomorrow night at the Bottom Line. Excited about bringing you Gouche live, and you've got a great work, obviously, with your show, the Practice Squad. Talk to me a little bit about that. Is anything exciting going on?
Yeah, so last week we had the trade deadline in the NFL, and we saw the most moves in NFL history at a deadline, which was only 10, but it was still really exciting to see. We saw a lot of big names move. Bradley Chubb go from Denver to Miami. TJ Hawkinson from Detroit to Minnesota. He looks pretty good. He didn't get a ton of action today, but looked good when he was in. So your Vikings might be challenging for a playoff spot here. Well, they are, but it's just a matter if they can compete with the big boys because they haven't really beaten anyone significant yet.
All right, 6-1. We'll see how they did today. Always a pleasure. Great job, buddy. Look forward to seeing you back at the Bottom Line tomorrow night.
Thanks, Gouche.
Hey, you've been watching Gouche Live right here, obviously brought to you by those good people at the Hockey News and Sports Illustrated. I did want to mention Billy Hunt, thank you for sharing us the news. Very sad news. Peter McNabb has passed away after a battle with cancer. Rest in peace. I knew his father, Max. He was the commissioner of the Central Hockey League, met him a couple times. I did not meet Peter, but certainly our thoughts and prayers go out to the family at this time. All right, Brandon, thank you, buddy, for paying it forward. Jordan, thank you for putting together a great show. I will see you tomorrow night. I know that we're not going to have any difference. I'll still be one ahead. I'll make up ground this week. Always a pleasure watching and listening to you predict as we go through the week. All right, Gouche Live right here. We will see you tomorrow.
You've been listening to Gouche Live with your host, Kerry Goulet, better known as The Gouche, brought to you by the Hockey News and Sports Illustrated.